Good afternoon. My name is Tim Markle. I'm the director of the Southern Regional Center for Children and Youth with Special Healthcare Needs. We cover 14 counties in southern and southwest Wisconsin, and this is my favorite part of the week. It's called Conversations on Showing Up for Kids. I want to let you know a couple things about the conversations. Number one, they are always recorded as long as the technology works. What this means is that what you say will be recorded and on the internet forever. So please be careful what you say, but most importantly, please do not use any personal identifiable health information or personal identifiable information. Please be aware that your words will be recorded. We also are not medical professionals. This is not medical advice. We are not offering legal advice. We are not offering educational advice. This is a conversation with our ideas, which at varying times we support each other's ideas and probably at other times we don't support each other's ideas. So just know there are ideas. And when you share, we take them as your ideas. And we do want you to be able to share. After about 15 minutes of conversation that I'm going to hold with guests today, we'll then open it up and look for your opinions, look for your questions, and look for your ideas, especially on the topic today, what to do the summer of 2020. I am so excited today that I have a number of staff, and the way that staffing goes these days, I might have a majority of the staff of the Easterseals Camp, Camp Wawbeek, and the Respite Camp. And so I'm excited to have them on to talk about Camp Canceled, ideas for summer 2020, what they're doing and other ideas that they've come up with for parents throughout Wisconsin. So I'm just going to start off with, guys, as you go around, introduce yourselves and give us a little, just a taste of what does your camp normally look like? Like, what were the kids and families expecting to happen this summer?
All right. I guess my name is Alex. I'm the director at Camp Wawbeek, which is an Easterseals camp in Wisconsin Dells. Typically, our summer camps run just like any other typical summer camp that you'd go to as a kid, with all the arts and crafts and sports and games, canoeing and climbing towers, zip lines, high ropes course, archery, all those things that you think of when you think of at camp. Our campers come, they get to hang out with their peers, make those connections and build a community. While mom and dad maybe get a little bit of a break or get to do some of those other things that maybe they can't do while their loved one is with them all the time. So they, their camper gets to have fun at camp and they get to do all those other things. We run 10 weeks in the summertime. We break up all of our sessions up by age group. So kids and young adults, adults and older adults. And then have a couple specialty programs for campers on the autism spectrum, as well as a pioneer camp, which are kind of for our campers who like to maybe rough and tough it a little bit, sleep under the stars, cook most of their meals over the fire, and do all those really big adventure things. And also run weekend programs throughout the school year where we do transitions and youth programs and different things like that. So.
Wow, that is a lot of stuff that you guys normally have going on. It's a lot to all of a sudden say, oh, by the way, not going to be able to do it. That's huge. That's just a large number. Now, is there anything like unique about all of your campers? Like, do they all come from a certain area? Do they all have a disability? Do they all have the same disability? What's sort of unique about them?
Yeah, so most of our campers come from Wisconsin. We do get a few maybe coming from Illinois or Minnesota.
Well, you have to understand, if you're in Illinois and Minnesota, you want to come to Wisconsin.
Yes.
It's definitely the way to go. So I totally understand them wanting to come over.
Yeah, and we're in the Dells, so that's kind of unique. So we take town trips into the downtown Dells where they can do, go t-shirt shopping, get souvenirs, get ice cream, things like that, go on a duck boat ride, which I'm not sure how many other camps are able to offer that, which is always really fun. But we do serve a wide range of ability levels, so we don't turn anybody away because of a diagnosis.
The only limitation that we may have as far as a medical diagnosis would be if somebody you trach, or if their doctor says that they're not healthy enough. Those kinds of things at camp. And if somebody uses a trach off and if they bring their own nurse, then we can make that happen too. So, but those are pretty much the only limiting diagnosis that we have.
So it's still a camp, and so there has to be a certain level of interaction. and
Absolutely.
a level, a certain level of independence for safety reasons, because, well, you're out in the nature.
Right. There's not necessarily a level of independence. I'll let Jamie talk about our respite program. But pretty much, Wawbeek and Respite share the facility, and so they both use the pool, they both use the ropes course, they both get to do all of these different things. But the ratio is different, staff to campers. So if I'll let Jamie talk about Respite and kind of how that operates.
Yeah, so I'm Jamie. I'm the director down at Respite Camp, and we do all the same things that Alex was saying. But the cool thing about Respite Camp is we are able to provide a little bit more support for individuals who maybe have more behavioral needs and they're not going to stick with their group, but they still want to experience camp just like we do. We just have to modify it a little bit, and we just need to provide some more supports, whether that is more like sensory supports, like we have a sensory room, or if they just need more things with personal care, we're able to do that at Respite Camp. So we really just don't turn people away, because all kids deserve camp, and we serve adults as well. And I mean, there just aren't a lot of things in the area and in Wisconsin for recreation for kids and adults with disabilities. So we just kind of strive to provide that for everybody.
Well, that's fantastic. And before we move along, Anna, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, so I'm Anna. I'm the AmeriCorps program manager at Easterseals, Wisconsin. So we're a national service, but kind of similarly founded like Peace Corps. So AmeriCorps has been serving with Easterseals in kind of partnership for 15 years, and we have members during the school year and during the summertime, kind of serving and providing that intensive support, personal care needs, and providing therapeutic recreational activities. In addition, with our youth or adults, youth in transition, veterans programming, kind of all those encompassing those various aspects. But in addition to, we have a volunteer coordinator that serves year-round at camp and providing different volunteer opportunities for individuals that are interested, in providing services or helping out with camp as well.
Sure. Well, I know from previous conversations with y'all that this wasn't an easy decision to make, to say, we have all of these fantastic offerings that are rather unique in Wisconsin. We even serve some of the other folks from Minnesota and Illinois. So you came to this decision that with the guidance that's out there, that it just wouldn't be safe and wouldn't be healthy for the campers or the staff to open up camp this year. So what are you going to do? What do you have to offer to all these people that this is a big desire, big need in their life? Every summer they're looking forward to it. Do you have plans on how you're going to help support and reach out to them? Because if not, I totally misunderstood our first conversation that we had. And This is going to be really short. So I'm assuming you do. Let's assume you have. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, well, we'll jump around with the different things that we're offering. It wasn't a decision that we came to lightly. We've talked for months about the what needs to be done, and if we can, is it safe? What if we do? What do we need? How do we do it? And there just were too many variables, is what it came down to. Our staff, it's not like a day program where people come and go, come for the day and go home, and the same staff are there all the time. Our staff are coming from all over the United States, from places that are at different places with the virus as we are, and then also so we, number one, not knowing where they were coming from and just keeping everybody safe, not knowing where everybody is. People come for a week and go home. It would be awful if somebody were to get sick, and so we wouldn't be able to open the pool, we wouldn't be able to open the ropes course and all those things that make it camp anyways. So we just thought it best to just hold back a year. And we are offering some online, we're going to be putting up different activities, just kind of identifying the different things that we know that people need from camp. Obviously the one thing that probably people need the most that we still aren't able to provide is respite. We can't do that virtually, as much as we would love to be able to. It's just probably not that safe. So, but there are some different activities and things that that we will be providing and coming up with a schedule. I'll let Alex and Jamie and Anna speak on those because it's pretty exciting. It's kind of thinking in it outside the box. We're so used to having the woods and a yard and all of this space. And so now we need to think about how do we convey these activities to everyone virtually. So,
wow, what a task to bring it all virtually. So what sort of things are you going to be able to offer?
Yeah, I can speak just maybe a little bit here. So, so this would have been our first week of camp, and so kind of we're thinking for the rest of the summer here for the next 9 weeks. And I think that when we think about camp, we think about all the things, but camp is also the people and kind of bringing everyone together. And so I'm going to really be looking into, you know, once a week doing whether it's a talent show or some kind of virtual dance, possibly on a Thursday afternoon or a Thursday evening. It's kind of how we always end the week together at camp, and is a really nice time for everyone to just be together. And then also looking at doing some other virtual campfires, maybe trying out a camp song sing-along that we've seen some other camps try to do. Maybe we can give it a go. But is a really big thing at camp that, you know, people just like music and they like the songs, and so finding ways that we can bring everyone together in a time that we're unable to be together through, you know, different kind of meetings, kind of like this, where you can just, you know, kind of check in and hopefully our campers can see their buddies that they, you know, they were bunkmates with for the last 5 years, and now it's their summer that they don't get to see them. So trying to find different ways that we can bring in that connection aspect of camp as well. And then have, you know, some other, you know, different activities that we'll be posting. I have a couple therapeutic rec interns who are, you know, coming up with activities. So whether they are recording themselves doing a craft of, you know, commonly, you know, found household things, so that, you know, we'll say, hey, tomorrow, you know, we'll be doing this activity, only needs these 5 things, and maybe it's, you know, 5 things that are super easy to find around the house, and, you know, they'll be able to facilitate something like that, or post a video of them doing it, and then campers and their families can do that at home and have a little bit of that piece of camp with them there.
Yeah, and our therapeutic recreation interns are also doing check-in calls with a couple of campers, which is a really nice way to check in and see how they're doing with all these huge changes this summer, and just like give a little bit of that social interaction that a lot of our campers do crave. And sometimes it's just nice to talk things through with an outside resource or just someone who would have been at camp, like a campy, happy person. So we're also working on getting more campers involved with those calls.
Another big part of camp is that people get to get outside and get moving. We understand that that's maybe a hindrance of being at home. There's only so many games either parents know, or if somebody lives in a group home, or even if somebody's on their own, there's only so many things that they know. And so we're reaching into our bag of tricks with camp, and we'll be coming up with different challenges each week, whether it's collectively everybody that's, you know, participating on Facebook or on our website come up, you know, can we walk, if everybody walk, wheel, roll, however you do it, but you know, walk for say 100 miles collectively, you know, and everybody logs and posts how many, you know, how much they've walked, or do jumping jacks, or provide scavenger hunts, you know, like nature scavenger hunts, things that you could find in your backyard, but just to get outside and get walking, or, you know, get moving around. We are going to be putting together some kind of scavenger hunts and tours just of camp for those that have been to camp and are just missing seeing it, but are going to put together some videos. We have some already, but just, you know, kind of us talking through, you know, what would be going on perhaps, or just so that people don't forget what we look like, you know.
And so to be able to watch the videos, the blogs, take part of the scavenger hunts, do people need to register somewhere or just show up? Or is there a website that you could put into the chat box that people will be able to go to?
Yep, I can just type in.
Hint.
Yeah, I can just type in our website. That's no problem at all. And all of these activities, we have been posting activities already on our blog.
Awesome.
It's just eastersealswisconsin.com. But on our blog, there are some articles, whether they're shared or things that we've written about camp, but then there are some activities, things you can do at home. Some of them are pretty cool. I just saw one of the interns sent over how to make your own chalk at home.
Your own chalk?
Yeah. I think that's pretty cool. I think I want to try it. But but there's just different things like that there's already some things that are on our blog. So feel free to check that out. I'll type in our website so that everyone has that.
And Jamie, I know, has been working on that as well, I noticed. So good job, everybody. Perfect.
There we go.
So we've touched a little bit on that you guys are going to be able to offer, you're already offering some blogs, but some videos, some arts and crafts, some scavenger hunts. And then we had talked briefly about this idea, and I think, Jamie, you might have been sort of touching on this. Is there a chance for, whether a family who's knowledgeable about camp or maybe isn't exactly sure, hasn't had the opportunity to go to camp, that they can call and say, these are the challenges that my child has. These are their interests. Is there somebody they could just have a conversation with about how to add therapy to their summer?
Yeah, absolutely. That is something that our therapeutic recreation interns would love to help out with. It's really great. They've been learning this for the past 4 years in school, and they were supposed to come to camp and put this to practice at camp, but to do it on the phone and just to help families and individuals with disabilities find that recreation is what they love to do. So that would absolutely be an opportunity that we can do, and they can just send us an email and we'll get them hooked up with an intern, kind of talk through what their needs are, what they're looking for, what kind of supports they have and resources they have to use, and our interns can get them hooked up with a nice little program plan for activities.
That is really cool, because if I remember when my kids were younger, I could look at the summer and just be overwhelmed by the fact that, it's going to go on forever and they're going to be here. And I love my kids, but what are they going to do so that they have a good summer? And so that is really cool that you guys are offering the opportunity for families to call and say, okay, this is who we are. What do you think? What are some ideas?
Yeah, and I do want to point out that both, we all, or some of us will be involved with this. Just Anna and myself are both therapeutic rec specialists, so we're not just like willy-nilly.
It's not like they're calling me Carissa and I'm saying, well, have you watched the Harry Potter films? Because when you watch all 7 or so in a row, it's really different than watching them. Yeah, so that's my advice. So you probably have some better ideas.
Well, no, and I just we'll come, and especially we're excited to have this kind of an opportunity for our interns, but to actually talk with families and meet individuals and help come up with a service plan. Camp, there's so many people and you're doing all the things all the time, where this is a really great opportunity for them to and us too, to work with individuals and individual families. And just to, I think working at camp, what's really cool is that, we kind of think outside the box and are really good at like, what do we have that we can make something out of, and enjoy doing that. So we would love to be able to talk with families and just help them come up with a plan and find out what everyone likes.
Okay, and if there's anyone listening here who's just like, that just sounds a little too structured and too much screen time for the summer, you guys are like the summer experts. What else would you say to families that they could do to make the summer of 2020 memorable in a really good way for their kiddos with disabilities?
I think that, especially touching on that screen time portion of it, I selfishly have wanted to do this around camp and kind of made it, turned it into maybe a future program myself. But I had some recommendations from one of the staff from Upham Woods here in the Dells, just for different books on trees and wildflowers, and she even sent over some apps for your phone to go out and just really explore outside, see where I can find, what kind of ferns are growing here more so than over here, and what kind of, trees are these, or there's the app that she told me is called eBirds, and you can, mark the bird, put in your place where you are some common birds, can listen to their sounds, and hopefully you can start learning how to identify the different sounds or the bugs that we find down by the creek and things like that. Is something that I think that I want to do for myself, but also in the future I think that even for camp would help benefit nature programs and stuff in the future to just so I think just getting outside, and I think we've been very lucky to be here at camp to be able to get out and explore with our dogs and things like that. But even just like Chris said before, going into your backyard and like what 3 new leaves can you find that you don't know what they are, but you can use the app on your phone, or the the $5 book, or even something maybe you can rent from the library or check out there, and just really starting to explore your backyard. Might seem so small, but you dig around in the garden a little bit, or things like that, and there's lots of things to find and just explore and get dirty. And I'm not a kid anymore, but definitely do love crawling around looking for critters and doing things like that.
Yeah, and I think that's really an easy thing to adapt to different interest levels and ability levels. Some people are going to be really into identifying those things, and some people are going to be really into the texture of that leaf. And maybe it's just going to be learning through their environment that way. And it's just a really great way to kind of adapt, like a universal design kind of program is just everyone can explore nature in their own way and listen to the birds. And some people care more about identification, and some people are more into the sensory of it, and that's totally okay as well.
Well, and I'm just thinking along the lines of, today's color is green. What all can you see outside your neighborhood as you walk around your neighborhood? What's all the different green things you have? Have you noticed the different shades of green that are out there?
Yeah, I think
so even starting as basic as that.
Yeah, no, and for sure. And I mean, and that brings in so many different things. So, you're listening and then that, learning how to, point it out and vocalize it and, trying to discover what it is and really just kind of, like Jamie said, using all the different senses and even working on that communication aspect of things would be really awesome that way as well.
I do think it's also important to understand, and we do as well, that like it is difficult to disconnect from technology sometimes. Whether somebody's really into Pokemon and that's what they love, well then how do you incorporate that into getting outside? Can you I don't know much about Pokemon, but can you cut out little Pokemons and put them all over your yard and have a little scavenger hunt? And I think that those are the things that we can offer. If somebody's just looking for, my child, my brother is just really into this and we can't get him to go outside, but okay, well, let's use that and put it together and kind of use both worlds.
This all reminds me of the phrase that someone told me years ago, that experience is learning. Mm-hmm. And that as long as we are out and experiencing something new, then our brains are engaged in the learning process and that we are learning something new. So all experience is learning. So that fact of getting out and having those experiences sounds really cool. We're nearing the end of this part of what we do today. Someone had mentioned this really weird concept called self-care you consider to be important during the summer as well. Who would like to talk a little bit about the importance of self-care?
I can speak on that. That was one of the things that I think is quite important, and oftentimes, and I'm the first to admit that you just kind of forget about it, and you think, I've had different people like start to talk to me about self-care, and you're like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for the bath. No, thank you. I'm not into candles.
Yeah, I have too many things to do. I have too many kids to take care of.
Right, and just but we will be posting just whether it's some activities or just things to think about or ways to disconnect, even if it's just for 5 minutes, to think about things that you like to do. Step back and call a friend. Reach out to somebody that maybe you haven't talked to for months because you've been so busy. Things like that aren't necessarily, you don't think of them as self-care, but they really are. That's what keeps you grounded and keeps you being yourself instead of just always being a caregiver. And you're not only are you Joe's mom, but you're also Karen, or whoever it may be.
I think that's very much, yeah, like Carissa said, it doesn't have to be a spa day, and just even, taking time to, declutter something or write a note to somebody or like call your best friend that maybe you haven't, you maybe talked about mom things or dad things before, but have you just checked in and, seen how things were, and definitely something that, have been looking at different self-care things.
Kind of going off of that is just, this is a time of, we might have a little bit more time on our hands, so we kind of have that extra time to be mindful, and whether that be self-care or looking into activities we might enjoy or try new things or leisure. It's just kind of an opportunity to kind of think out of the box, and what better place to have, with our staff and our interns, our AmeriCorps members, really having our minds together and kind of providing that community aspect of being a resource to whoever may need help and reaching out with that too.
That is great. Well, I know that we have some people on the call with us besides the 5 of us. And so I would greatly encourage if anybody on the call has a question, a comment, or something struck them as an idea, hey, this is what I'm planning on doing with my kids this summer, or anything like that, please feel free to unmute your lines. You shouldn't be locked in. You should be able to unmute. Warning, if you do have a camera, when you start talking, the camera will show you if your camera is turned on. Or you can put questions, comments in the chat box, and I will be able to relay them to the awesome folks from Easterseals. If not, I will, so feel free to think, and then I will watch for you to unmute, or I'll watch for questions in the chat box, because we really do kind of want to make this a discussion. So I didn't know if anybody wanted to, as we're waiting for the people on the call, I had written a note, but I didn't write anything next to it. So go figure. I wrote down these words: sensory integration can be important over the summer. That's a pretty big word, sensory integration. There's a lot of syllables there, and there's 2 big words. What sort of things would it mean to look at sensory integration over the summer?
I can speak on that. I'm really passionate about sensory integration, just from my background in special ed. I really think it's an important thing for individuals with disabilities that do have like sensory processing disabilities, but it also goes along with just about everyone. We all have senses and we all have these sensory needs. But a lot of our campers and a lot of people with like autism, intellectual disabilities, Down syndrome, they have sensory processing disorders. So like that humming from the refrigerator that we don't even notice can be like super overwhelming, and they don't know how to express it, or it's not always easy. So I'm working on an article right now that we'll be posting as well, about just ideas to integrate sensory into your daily routines, whether that's having just a bucket that you put on a table with water in it and you're dumping things out, just like meeting those different proprioceptive, that's a big word too, like spatial needs. And just meeting those different sensory needs, really, whether you go to the beach and you just let that person play in the sand or play in the water and flap around and just do what they need to do to equalize and balance out their senses. That's really what it means.
Awesome. Thanks. Anything else on sensory? Just the thing, one of the things that came to my mind is, even, I know that some people have their disabilities includes the loss of possibility loss or one sense not as good as others. So thinking about, okay, well, what is it that we haven't explored before? What do different trees feel like? Even if you have all your senses, does tree bark feel different? Is the tree on an oak different from an elm? And I wouldn't even know. But that there's ways that we can engage all sorts of our senses in the sense of exploring this summer, and even around the house for those days when it's raining. There's plenty, if any house is like mine, there's plenty of things that smell. So go ahead, play What's That Smell in my house. I would greatly appreciate it if someone would sometime come over and try to figure out what that smell is in my basement, but that's a whole nother story. Any questions, comments? Nothing's coming up in the chat box. Ideas? My goal is one of these days, someone is going to talk to me. It's a goal. It's a desire. Well, if not, do you guys have any final comments? Carissa, I know we have the website, www.eastersealswisconsin.com, where they can find blogs, activities, videos, how to do arts and crafts with easy stuff around the house, along with how to connect if they want this sort of consult about what would my kid maybe like this summer. Anything else you want to say?
No, just feel free to reach out, and also you follow our Facebook page. It's Easterseals Wisconsin Camps, because we do the blog gets posted on there, but then also we do post fun things and things about our staff, and it's just a good way to keep engaged and things like that. I see that Amy had asked something about fostering friends.
Yeah, because I'm sure that's a main part of camp, but they're not going to be together doing it. So ideas on how to foster friendships when you're not sleeping in the same bunk room.
Yeah, and maybe Alex tends to, and Jamie as well, but Alex tends to have his thumb on being able to do this. And if you have any ideas for doing it virtually.
I think, well, one of the ideas that I had just had is since we do have these remainder, weeks of summer camp, is just, in sending an email and inviting all those campers that were maybe supposed to be here next week. They're all young adult campers, they're all peers, and that's going to be one of those things that they are, missing throughout the summer. So, every week while they, were maybe supposed to be at camp, they were registered for, sending them all out, just a link, hey, we're gonna, get together, everyone who is registered for this session, please join us for, whether it's that talent show or just kind of that meet and greet, and then that kind of facilitated, probably myself facilitating the, their conversations and stuff like that. But a lot of our campers, once they get together, they're pretty good of just kind of maintaining those friendships and picking up. It's just kind of that that lack of distance right now, or we oftentimes see at camp. Maybe they don't have the skills to ask for their new best friend's email or phone number, and so finding different ways that we're able to, does are both parents or both campers consenting that they want each other to have their phone numbers or email so they can continue those things throughout the summer. We've had some canceled sessions and have just sent out handwritten postcards to all of our campers as well, especially through throughout the spring, just like, hey guys, like we know your session was canceled, we're really missing you, we can't wait to see you when you get back. And have had a lot of really good, just phone calls or emails like, hey, Timmy Joe, loved receiving that postcard from, the camp staff. He's really missing everyone, looking forward to seeing you back. And, just finding different ways that we're able to help maintain those connections in that community, moving throughout a summer without physical camp.
Well, and it strikes me that some of those large group, like those campfires and other, where you have those multiple people where you're able to interact, that's how we figure out who we want as friends, is we get to see how they act. We get to see how they respond. And those are the people that we can be drawn to as friends. So participating in those sort of activities could be a way to say, oh, you know what, that Alex guy, I really like him. I wonder how I can get in touch with Alex because I'd really like to talk to him some more. Or, George mentioned, his love for all things Star Wars. And well, my love is all things Star Wars. So I'd love to talk to George. That it's possible that there'll be some interaction in those large group times for people to be able to find the possibility of some friends.
Yeah, no, and that'd be awesome. And that's exactly what we do at camp. Even before campers come, our camper coordinators read all of our campers like registration forms and applications. And you try to put the boys together who like Star Wars and the ones who like maybe the sandbox or basketball, and the girls who love arts and crafts, and the ones who really love swimming. And, on our end of things, just being very intentional about the people that we put them in, really close proximity to, so that they do make those connections. And it's going to be maybe one less barrier on top of maybe some of the other barriers that they, do face. Trying to find a common connection is going to, be taken out of the equation, and then we can just, help foster those relationships from there on. So.
So I'd be in the camper group scared to do ropes course. So that's you would group me with other campers who don't like heights, don't like ropes, and don't like horses.
We're not going to even talk about it in that room.
Okay. Okay, we'll stay positive today, Alex. We will.
Okay.
I love that sense of one less barrier.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you can find that commonality, it gives you a better starting place than just starting cold.
And
That's a great
Amy,
thought.
I did want to point out too, Amy, like if you have somebody at home that maybe wasn't registered for camp, but you think this would be really cool for them to participate in, please, Alex's information and Jamie's information is on the website. Like, just shoot them an email. My son or daughter is 12 years old and they would really love to be a part of this, so that they can get them in the right group and send you the link, because we do serve children, we do serve adults. We'd hate for a 12-year-old to join in the adults, talking about their favorite coffee or something like that. But so do feel free to do that, Amy.
Yes. No, that'd be awesome. And I was looking for new faces, and our campers always love meeting new people as well. And yeah, we get a number of emails like they're just missing that connection, and have helped a couple of them. I had to do a lot of searching to figure out which Johnny they were talking about from the summer before, but really, is good a couple weeks later, a couple months later, like they've been talking nonstop. They're their new best friend, even though they live on opposite sides of the state, and they always just see each other at camp. Finally was able to make that connection so they can keep in contact. So
Awesome. So it's not too late for
No.
people to get involved in Summer Camp 2020 at Easterseals.
absolutely not.
Well, thank you all so much for taking time out of your virtual planning, or you're planning your virtual, I don't know which it is, but all the planning and all the work that you're putting into trying to make this summer a good experience for your campers and for people that have never had the chance to experience the Easterseals and Respite Camp before. So thank you all very much. I don't see anything further. Hopefully they will be able to join, but I expect other people listening to this. So hopefully we'll be able to get some families hooked up with some really cool ideas about to do with summer 2020. Next week, if you come on back, we're going to do part 2, summer 2020 camp canceled. We're going to be talking with the director of the Bay Cliff Virtual Camp, a therapy camp that is up in Bay Cliff, and talk about how they're adapting their summer and ideas that they have on how to spend summer 2020. So join us for part 2. I have so really enjoyed part 1. Thank you all very much. And I don't know if you invited me, but I can't wait to sometime come and visit the camp, because I've never been up to Camp Wawbeek. So I would love to come up and visit some summer, when there's campers, when it's more interesting. I mean, you guys are interesting, but really seriously, when there's campers around, I would love to come up and take a look.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for
Thanks so
having
much,
us.
Tim.
Thanks. Have a good afternoon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.